Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at hoses and fittings. You know, those essential parts that make sure fluids flow smoothly in all kinds of
They
industries.
really are crucial, aren't they?
And the company we're focusing on is Aeroflex Industries Ltd. They're an Indian company, publicly listed, and they're really making a name for themselves in the global market.
What's interesting to me is how they're not just, riding the wave of demand in this industry. They're actively shaping their future. They've got a long-term vision.
Right, so we've got their latest company announcement to the stock exchange, a transcript of their Q4 FY24 earnings call,
Yeah.
and their investor presentation. A lot to unpack.
Yeah, we'll see how they're handling the global market, what's working, what's not, and where they're headed.
Okay, let's jump right into their financials. Their recent performance has been pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? Both the 9-month period and Q3 of FY25 show some significant year-over-year growth.
Absolutely. We're talking about an 18% jump in total income, EBITDA up by 25%,
Mm.
and even a 30% increase in profit after tax for those 9 months. That kind of growth, it really makes a statement, especially compared to their previous year.
Yeah, and it gets even more interesting when you look at Q3 specifically. Total income went up like 35%, EBITDA 48%, profit before tax 47%, and profit after tax a whole 68% increase. Those are some serious numbers.
Yeah, they're hitting their stride. I think part of that success can be linked back to their capacity expansion. They just hit a major milestone, completed their stainless steel hoses and braiding capacity to a whopping 16.5 million meters.
And they did it on schedule, which is, it says something about their efficiency.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
they're not just keeping up with demand, they're thinking ahead, getting ready to grab even more market share. But it's not just about making more of the same, right? They seem to be shifting towards what they call assemblies and fittings. I'll be honest, those terms always kind of went over my head.
Oh,
Can you break that down for me? And for anyone listening who might not be familiar with the industry jargon?
of course. Think of it this way. If a hose is like a pipe, fittings are the connectors, valves, and those, other parts that attach to it so you can control the flow. And assemblies, they take it a step further. They're like pre-assembled units that combine hoses, fittings, and other components, like buying a ready-made bookshelf instead of getting all the boards and screws yourself.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So instead of just selling the basic hose, they're offering a more complete, ready-to-use solution.
Exactly. It's a smart move.
It is a smart move.
And the numbers show it. In Q3 FY25, assembly sales increased by, get this, 101.4% compared to the same period last year.
Wow.
This shift towards assemblies, it brings in more revenue and is generally more profitable than just selling individual parts.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, they're getting into the metal bellows game. Starting production with a capacity of 120,000 pieces a year? Metal bellows. Now that sounds pretty technical.
Well, they're kind of like flexible metallic accordions, you see. They can handle these extreme temperatures, high pressures, even corrosive environments.
Uh,
You'll find them in a surprisingly wide range of industries, from aerospace and robotics to even clean energy.
so Aeroflex is aiming for diverse applications with these metal bellows. Their target is to produce diameters ranging from 50 millimeter to a massive 3,000 millimeter. Sounds like they're serious about making their mark in this market.
Oh, they are. And to boost their strategy, they've made a strategic acquisition, Hide Air Engineering.
Right.
It's a classic example of what we call backward integration.
Backward integration.
Yeah.
Break that down for me.
It basically means bringing part of the supply chain in-house. So in this case, Aeroflex can now manufacture fittings themselves instead of relying on external suppliers. It gives them more control, can lead to faster production times, and even maybe better quality because they're managing the whole process themselves.
So it's about control and efficiency. And what's the impact on their customers?
Well, faster lead times means happier customers.
Right.
And better quality means, more reliable products, which is always good. But there's more. This acquisition also opens doors to new customer segments, railways, shipbuilding, and heavy industries.
They're not just sticking to one area. They're expanding.
Exactly. And they're gaining access to some big-name clients: Mosgon Dockyards, SAIL, BHEL, JSW, ArcelorMittal. These are some heavy hitters in their industries. It really shows that Aeroflex is playing in the big leagues now.
All of this is pretty impressive. But it's not always smooth sailing in the global market, is it? I'm curious how they're handling the current geopolitical challenges, especially the Red Sea crisis. The earnings call transcript It shed some light on that, right?
It does. The Red Sea crisis has really messed with global shipping routes,
Yeah.
that's led to these crazy freight costs. It's impacting businesses all over the world, and Aeroflex isn't immune.
So how has it affected their bottom line?
Well, their managing director spoke pretty frankly about the impact of the crisis. He mentioned container shortages, those increased freight costs, and even some orders getting postponed.
So even with all their planning, they can't escape these external shocks. Sounds like a tough spot.
Oh, it's a challenge for sure, but it's also a chance to see how they adapt.
Right.
And from what I've gathered, they're being proactive and collaborative, working with customers, being transparent about the situation, and finding ways to share the burden of these increased costs.
So instead of just passing the cost to the customer, they're working together. Makes sense.
It does.
What else are they doing?
Well, they're also adjusting payment terms to make things easier for clients and looking at different sourcing options to minimize disruptions in their supply chain. It's a sign of their commitment to finding solutions even when things are tough.
That's smart. They're not just reacting, they're thinking strategically.
Exactly. And it's especially striking because they're doing all this while remaining focused on expanding globally. Don't forget, exports make up a huge chunk of their revenue, 84% in FY24.
Right. So they're dealing with global crises while also trying to grow their business internationally. Talk about multitasking. Where are they focusing their expansion efforts right now?
Well, their main markets are North and South America and Europe. But they're not just happy with maintaining their position. Their managing director talked about their ambitions to increase their presence in North America and, get a bigger slice of the Middle Eastern market.
Global domination.
Well, maybe not domination, but definitely ambitious.
They are. But here's what I find interesting. They're doing all this while emphasizing sustainability.
Yeah.
They're not just talking about it. They're really doing it.
Absolutely.
Tell me more about that. What kind of sustainability initiatives are they implementing?
Well, for starters, they've commissioned a 750 kilobelly rooftop solar project to cut down on their reliance on, non-renewable energy. They're also using green processes with minimal fossil fuel use, and they're aiming for 100% water recycling. Even their internal transportation uses electric vehicles.
Wow, they're going all in. It's impressive to see a company that's prioritizing both profitability and environmental responsibility. Suggests a long-term vision that goes beyond just making a quick buck.
It does, and they're not stopping there. They've pledged to use recycled packaging materials with the goal of 100% recycled packaging within the next 3 years.
So they're setting a high bar for themselves in the industry. I'm curious, though, how do they stack up against the competition in this global market? Who are they going up against?
Well, in the world of flexible flow solutions, you've got some giants. Parker, Senior Flexonics, Eaton Corporation. Global players with deep pockets and big reputations.
Sounds like David and Goliath. How can Aeroflex compete with these behemoths?
Well, remember, David won that battle. And Aeroflex has some tricks up its sleeve. They're focusing on quality, competitive pricing, and a customer-centric approach that, really addresses the specific needs that larger companies often overlook.
So it's not just about being the cheapest, it's about providing value and understanding the customer.
Precisely. And it seems to be working. They've carved out a niche for themselves as the top supplier from Asia in their product segment.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And their strategic shift towards higher value products, those assemblies and fittings we talked about, that's been a big part of their success.
You mentioned that assembly sales in Q3 FY25 jumped by like over 100% compared to the year before. That's a big shift, isn't it? Moving from just hoses to offering these more complete solutions.
It's a brilliant move. By offering assemblies, they become a one-stop shop for their customers.
Right.
It's convenient for the customer, and it lets Aeroflex capture more value.
I see. So they're not just selling parts, they're selling solutions.
Exactly.
And that can lead to higher margins and stronger customer loyalty, right?
Absolutely. It makes them a more valuable partner overall.
Makes sense. And their acquisition of Hyder Engineering just strengthens this this whole strategy. Bringing fitting manufacturing in-house gives them more control, reduces lead times, and they can offer even more customized solutions.
Exactly. Classic vertical integration.
Yeah. Streamlining and enhancing their value. They're in control. And on top of all that, they're making a big play in the metal bellows market, just starting production but already planning to expand.
Metal bellows are, they're really fascinating. They're used in all sorts of high-tech applications. Aerospace, robotics, clean energy, you name it. It's a market with huge growth potential, but also a competitive one.
So what do you think? Smart move for Aeroflex.
It's bold, but calculated. They're targeting a wide range of product diameters, which suggests they've done their research. They're aiming to cater to all sorts of needs.
They're not just testing waters, they're diving right in.
Right.
I like their ambition. But you're right, it is a competitive market. What sets them apart? Why do they think they can succeed where others might struggle?
One thing that stands out is their commitment to research and development. They've got this NABL accredited lab and over 70 products in various stages of development. They're not just relying on old technology, they're innovating and developing new solutions.
They're not just keeping up. They want to lead the way. So they're investing in their future. Good sign. But I am curious, they're betting big on both assemblies and metal bellows. Do you see those two strategies working together, or could they clash?
That's a great question. On the surface, they seem complementary. Assemblies position them as that one-stop shop, while metal bellows broaden their product range into new markets.
Right.
But, there could be potential for conflict.
Like what kind of conflicts?
Well, managing resources will be crucial. They need to allocate capital, personnel, production capacity between these two growth areas.
It's a juggling act.
Exactly.
Can't focus on everything at once.
Right. They'll have to prioritize and make strategic choices about where to focus their resources.
And they need to keep that focus on quality and customer satisfaction, even as they expand, right?
Absolutely. Easy to lose sight of the details when you're growing quickly. But it sounds like they're aware of this potential challenge, and they're taking steps.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about their global reach. They mentioned exports make up like 84% of their revenue. They're truly a global player.
Absolutely. Their main markets now are North and South America and Europe, but they're also looking at expanding into the Middle East, which is a smart move. Huge potential there.
So they're thinking strategically about where to focus, playing a global chess game.
That's a good way to put it. And they're not limiting themselves to just one approach. They've got this diverse go-to-market model. Direct sales to OEMs, working with distributors, partnering with assemblers.
Covering all their bases.
Exactly. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Okay, we've talked about their growth strategy, their financials, their global reach. But let's go back to something we touched on earlier. Their commitment to sustainability. It seems to be at the heart of their business.
It does. It's more than just a trend for them. It's how they operate. The solar project, the green processes, the water recycling, the electric vehicles, it's all connected.
They're walking the walk.
And they're not stopping there. They're aiming for 100% recycled packaging within the next 3 years. It's really great to see a company proving that profits and environmental responsibility can go hand in hand.
They're setting an example.
They are. Now, I know you like to get your listeners thinking, so let me throw out a question. China's recent reopening has been a big topic. Some analysts are worried it could increase competition and maybe drive down prices. What do you think about the potential impact of China's reopening on Aeroflex's business? Threat or an opportunity?
It's a great question. Gets you thinking. China's back in the game, and they're a manufacturing powerhouse. Got to wonder how that'll affect, everyone, how Aeroflex will be affected.
Yeah, definitely something to watch. But, in the earnings call, Aeroflex's managing director actually kind of brushed off the threat from China, at least for their specific products. He said their main competition is from Europe and the U.S.
So they're not too worried about Chinese companies stealing their market share, at least for now.
Right.
But it's always good to be aware, right? Be prepared for things to change.
Absolutely.
Speaking of competition, they've set a pretty ambitious goal, that EBITDA margin of over 25%. Given, all the economic uncertainty and global stuff we talked about, how realistic is that?
It's bold, no question. But their move to higher margin products, their efficiency, and the timing of their expansions, all of that suggests they're on the right track. They're setting themselves up for that kind of profitability.
They're not just hoping for it. They're making it happen.
Proactive.
Right.
Exactly.
But yeah, the global economy is a bit of a wild card. Can't control everything.
True enough. It's a balancing act, managing growth while riding these global waves. Now, here's something I found interesting in their investor presentation, their focus on corporate governance. Not always the most exciting topic,
right,
but it's important for sustainability, for investor confidence.
Right. It's about the checks and balances, transparency, accountability.
Yeah.
So what stood out to you about their approach?
Well, their board of directors has several independent directors, and they've got some serious credentials. People from the Tata Group, Ashok Leyland, Senior India. That mix of experience brings a lot of different perspectives.
It's like having a team of advisors, all with different backgrounds. They can offer guidance, challenge assumptions, help make better decisions.
It's a sign they're committed to doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And they're not just relying on old school management either. They've got this sophisticated SAP system for managing operations. They've even connected their production lines digitally so they can analyze data in real time.
Wow.
Very data-driven approach.
They're embracing the tech to be more efficient, more responsive.
Smart. What about customer relationships? How's that going?
They've implemented a Salesforce CRM, which is it's a great tool for managing customer interactions from the first contact all the way to getting the product delivered. They're serious about building those relationships, making it a smooth experience.
It's all about making it positive and efficient for the customer,
Yeah.
right? From start to finish.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Their financials, their growth, sustainability, corporate governance. But, every company has its weaknesses, right?
So let me ask our listeners this. What potential weaknesses or blind spots do you think Aeroflex needs to watch out for as they grow?
Yeah, good question to think about. Even the best companies, they have areas where they could be vulnerable.
That's true. One that comes to mind is their reliance on a, relatively small number of key customers.
Okay.
If one of those big customers has problems or changes their sourcing, it could really hit Aeroflex's revenue.
Right. It's like don't put all your eggs in one basket. So diversifying their customer base, different places, different industries, that would be smart.
Exactly. Spreading the risk so they're not so dependent on just a few clients.
Makes sense.
Another thing, they rely on a limited number of suppliers for some really important components.
Oh, yeah.
So any disruption there, global events, natural disasters, even strikes could really mess things up.
They've already seen some of that with the Red Sea thing, right?
Exactly. Shows how vulnerable those global supply chains can be.
So what can they do about it? Well, building stronger relationships with more suppliers, finding alternative sources, that's key. They might even think about bringing some manufacturing in-house like they did with Hyde Air. More control, more flexibility.
Having options, backup plans, essential in today's world.
For sure. And then there's always that risk of technology changing everything.
Yeah.
The industries Aeroflex works in, they're always evolving.
Right.
Some new tech could come along and suddenly their products, their processes, they're outdated.
It's the challenge of keeping up in a fast-moving world.
It is.
Can't stand still. So how can they stay ahead of the game?
They have to keep investing in R&D.
Right.
Got to be at the forefront, see what's coming, develop new solutions.
They seem to be doing that with their lab and all the new products in development.
They are, which is good, not just resting on their past successes.
Right.
It's about adapting, evolving constantly. And based on what we've seen, I think Aeroflex has the ability and the vision to handle these challenges. They're definitely on the move.
Yeah, they've accomplished a lot in a short time. But like you said, success isn't it's not a guarantee. They got to stay focused, adaptable, customer-focused to keep growing.
And they can't forget about their people.
Right.
Attracting and keeping good people, that's crucial. Create a work environment that, encourages innovation, collaboration, all that.
Their employee initiatives seem like a good start.
Right.
But as they grow, they got to make sure that that company culture grows with them.
It's about making a workplace where people feel valued, respected, and able to do their best work.
Well, this has been a fascinating look at Aeroflex Industries. Their financials, their strategy, their commitment to sustainability, even their employee initiatives. Quite a story, wouldn't you say?
It is impressive growth, but with a focus on, values, sustainability, innovation. A lot of other businesses could learn from them.
Absolutely. So for our listener, as we wrap up, what are the key takeaways? What do you hope they'll remember about Aeroflex?
I hope they see them as a company that's not just about the bottom line, but about building a business with a purpose. A company that shows you can be successful and responsible, sustainable, and people-focused.
Those are great values. I hope our listeners are inspired by their story.
Yeah.
See what's possible when you have a vision, you work hard, and you do things the right way.
It's a journey worth watching.
It is. And for our listener, if you're as interested in Aeroflex as we are, check out their website, their investor materials.
Yeah, do some digging.
See what makes them tick.
And as always, we love to hear from you. What stood out? What did you learn? Let us know on social media or through our website.
Keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.